Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Head over to audibletrial.com/jumbled and get your free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. They've got over 180,000 different titles for you to choose from, so if you don't find something, I don't know what's the matter with you. Also, let's listen to a word from our friends over at the Culture Quest podcast.
24 hours is like 3 weeks.
Wookiees, lasers, Death Star.
So slugs up your butt is bad. Is that what we've gleaned from this?
Hi, we're the Culture Quest podcast. We're on a quest to become more cultured people by discussing a movie, a music album, a book, or anything else really each episode. Check us out, culturequestpodcast.com.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Jumbled, your favorite podcast about nothing. I'm Zach. And as I said last week, Jonny is in Costa Rica. That asshole is down there doing whatever Canadians do in the tropics. Actually, I saw on Instagram, he's of course, in typical Jonny fashion, he can't just take a vacation. He went down and he was doing some jiu-jitsu. But then again, I think Jonny's interpretation of vacation is different than mine. Jonny enjoys getting beat up regularly, and that's like that's like hell for me. Like, if I had to picture what hell was, that's it. So he's down there doing his thing, and so this week I'm just lone wolfing it. It's another lone wolf podcast. Featuring your good buddy Zach, and I do have some stuff to talk about. First, I wanted to say, if it hasn't happened already, I'm not sure where it's going to land in this episode. Our buddies over at the Culture Quest podcast have a spot here in this episode, 30-second spot. I'd appreciate if you guys went over and checked out their podcast. They're pretty cool. It's a pretty cool premise. So about the show on Stitcher says, join our quest to become more learned in the ways of culture. In each episode, we, the three adventurers, will discuss a movie, an album, a book, or anything we may deem fit as we strive to broaden our horizons and explore new lands. Leave your weapon by the door, pour yourself a martini, don a top hat, and enjoy our discussion. So we are sort of similar in our ventures into podcasting, except on this podcast, you don't learn anything. You feel like you might have known more before you started listening to our podcast. So I would definitely recommend you head over and you give them a listen, give them a rating and review if you see fit, and just support a podcast that supports Jumbled as well. Here, I think in a few days when they release, I think he said on the 9th of February, they're going to release an episode that we will also have a spot on. So we would appreciate if you guys could drop by and give them a listen and let them know how they're doing. Other than that, not much going on. So we'll see you guys. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to make a 3-minute podcast. Although after last week, that's probably fair. I've not looked at the statistics, but I can only assume that last week, nobody got through the entirety of nearly 2 hours or over 2 hours. I don't know exactly how long the running time was on that episode. Of course, with it being just a dedication to Kobe Bryant playing episode 8 and episode 24, it was a long episode. It was, if most of our episodes are approaching the hour mark, so it's only realistic to think that it was probably 2 hours or more. And I sort of went on a bit of a speech there at the beginning, so If you listened to all 2 hours of last week's podcast, I feel like I owe you something. I don't know what it is, but we appreciate you. Hope that you enjoyed the episodes, and hope you took some time to think about how you can positively change or affect the world around you, or your own world, how you can make things happen for yourself. Because that's sort of what Kobe Bryant embodied, was just this sense of, hard work pays off. You just gotta be able to you gotta be willing to put in the work. So hope you took that and ran with it. The Chiefs won. The Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl this past weekend. And this city has been just nuts. Actually, I'm really proud of Kansas City because there was no like major incidents the night of the Super Bowl. Like a lot of big cities you hear about, like, oh, there was rioting and somebody set fire to something, or somebody flipped a car, or a group of people flipped a car, or somebody got beat up. I mean, somebody might have gotten beat up, but that's not a big, like a major deal. There were no riots. I went out driving for Uber on this past Sunday night. We're like immediately the game time hit zeros. I didn't watch the speeches on the for the MVP. I didn't know any of that stuff till I was out on the road. But as soon as it hit zeros, I was out my front door because I knew this city was just going to be partying all night, and from all accounts, they did. I went out. Let's see, the game ended probably around, I want to say around 10 or so, and I think all in all, on Sunday night, I probably only gave 6 rides. 6 or 7 rides. I'd have to look. And that's between Uber and Lyft. But all in all, I made $150. And I was only out for, let's see, if I got home at 1 a.m. And, it was around 10. Maybe 9:30. Because I was out driving for about 3.5 hours. So 9:30 I guess matches up. But I made $150. That averages out to about $50 an hour. A little bit less than that probably if you average in that additional half hour. But it was a pretty profitable night. So no complaints from me. Unfortunately, I couldn't I couldn't get out and drive the rest of the celebration time, because people have just been sort of partying. But on Sunday, after I finished at 1 a.m., I looked on Uber, on the Uber driver app, and at 1 a.m. on a Sunday, actually early Monday morning, there was still a $20 surge price downtown Kansas City. So that tells you how crazy it was that on a Monday morning, people were still out. They were still partying. It's been 50 years since the Chiefs won a Super Bowl. So it was time for them to get out and party and have a good time. So that's what they did. I was out. I was driving among all the people, windows down. It was actually pretty good weather in Kansas City on Sunday. Do apologize about all the yawns. But I had my windows down. People were walking in the middle of traffic, giving high fives, dancing to music, and really just sort of like a genuine celebration. Not like just a celebration for the sake of like an animalistic, like, oh, we did it, It wasn't anything like that. It was a very pure celebration. I was happy to see it. So that was Kansas City in a nutshell this past few days. I gotta kick the ons. It's nuts. The so something to talk about for the Super Bowl. You know, a lot of people watch the Super Bowl not just for the football games, but for the commercials, and also for the halftime show. This year for the halftime show, it was Shakira and Jennifer Lopez. I'm sure you all are aware that's the case because everybody is losing their goddamn minds about Shakira and Jennifer Lopez and it being not family friendly for a halftime show. And my question to those people is, with it being Jennifer Lopez and Shakira, did you expect anything different? You know, I'm not demeaning their music. They're fine musicians in their own rights. But Shakira and J-Lo are looked at pretty heavily as sex symbols. And what's the first thing you think of when you think of J-Lo and Shakira? You think of their asses, right? And that's because pop culture has sexualized them. And that's just what it is, you know, so, but they play to it, you know, they're not shying away from that, you know, it's sort of like Nicki Minaj. If Nicki Minaj was on the Super Bowl halftime show, people would lose their goddamn minds because, is sort of, little as Shakira and J-Lo were wearing, you could probably put your money on Nicki wearing less. That's a guess, but I've seen her music videos. So yeah, I don't know how you expect anything different, and so I've sort of been trying to figure out and work and wrap my mind around that for, you know, I guess this whole week so far, and you know, I just don't get it personally. Okay, if you don't think it is a family friendly halftime show, then just send the kids out of the room, right? You know, you knew it was Shakira and J-Lo at the beginning. You knew that they were probably going to be playing to their assets, no pun intended, and so you probably could have ascertained how this was going to end up. Send the kids out of the room. That's the easiest way to deal with this. But, you know, people just like to have something to complain about. And that's fine. Another thing people were complaining about, the Chiefs had their victory rally down at Union Station. Actually, the parade was all through downtown, and then they ended at Union Station, where the whole team came up on the on the stage, and some of them gave speeches, including Andy Reid, the head coach, Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce. And people are freaking out about the fact that a lot of them were heavily intoxicated. My thing's this. You're dealing with a bunch of 20-something-year-olds, maybe 30-year-olds if they're getting up in their NFL careers. And they just achieved one of the loftiest goals that a human being can set. Think about how many people make the NFL, right? Think about how many people, and it's a very slim margin of people that find their way to the NFL. Now, divide that number by 32. That's the number of people that will see the Super Bowl in any given year, right? You have NFL players in 1 year. They're all on a team. 52 players on a team. So 52 times 32, that's how many players you got. Then, you get to divide that back down. to get the actual ratio of how many NFL players actually get to see a Super Bowl victory. That's a very slim amount of NFL of people in general. Hey guys, let's stop to talk a second real quick about the sponsor for this week's podcast. You guys know them, you guys love them. It's Audible. Head over to audibletrial.com/jumbled and get your free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. The audiobook we're going to recommend this month for the month of February is Everything is Fucked, a book about hope by Mark Manson. The audiobook is 7 hours and 2 minutes long, and it's narrated by Mark Manson. Here is a brief summary of the audiobook itself. From the author of the international bestseller, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, comes a counterintuitive guide to the problems of hope. We live in an interesting time. Materially, everything is the best it's ever been. We are freer, healthier, and wealthier than any people in human history. Yet, somehow everything seems to be irreparably and horribly fucked. The planet is warming, governments are failing, economies are collapsing, and everyone is perpetually offended on Twitter. At this moment in history, when we have access to technology, education, and communication our ancestors couldn't even dream of, so many of us come back to an overriding feeling of hopelessness. That's it, guys. The audiobook, again, is Everything is Fucked, a book about hope by Mark Manson. If you don't want to listen to that one, feel free to choose from any of the other 180,000 other titles that Audible has to offer. Thank you, Audible. And let's get back to the podcast. So, and you think about the lead up to that, playing in their youth, getting into tackle football, going into the high school career, starting to gain a little bit of recognition. Some of them maybe not even getting much football recognition in high school, get some sort of scholarship to college on a different sport or for football, and the rest is history. They get drafted or they are picked up in free agency. They're whatever. They make their way onto a team. This whole time they've been thinking, okay, the end goal is to make the NFL and do what? Win a Super Bowl. They've been thinking about that their entire lives. So why would you expect them to not celebrate? I mean, I don't... That'd be like... Okay, here's the thing. If I went out tomorrow, bought a lotto ticket, and I won the Powerball, my life has changed forever. I have financial, I'm financially stable. I can pay for whatever I need. I can help out people if I want to. I can donate to, charities or organizations I have not been able to donate to before. I might take a little bit of time for myself to celebrate the fact that, hey, my life as I know it is changing, and it's changed, like a lot of these people. I mean, there have only been 54 Super Bowls. So there have been 54 teams of 52 or less people. Because I don't know if it was always 52 players on a team or not, but the odds are so slim that as a football player you will make it, number one, even at a high school, to get a scholarship to play football at a university level. Then you have to overcome the obstacles in college to become elite enough to be noticed by NFL scouts. The NFL scouts have to see enough in you to draft you or put you, on a practice squad. And then you have to work your hardest not to get cut from the team at the beginning of the year because they have to slim the roster down. And then if you want to be a recognized player, a starter, you have to work harder too. So my thing is like, the odds are so slim that they were ever going to get to this point. The fact that they're there is reason enough to celebrate. So if you have a problem, or if you're listening and you're like, oh, well, I wish they would have, handled the situation better, just put yourself in their shoes. Put yourself in their shoes, because there's no reason they shouldn't have celebrated. It's not like they did anything lewd or, broke any laws. They were just partying, right? It was hilarious, because they got up on the stage and Travis Kelce, the tight end for the Chiefs, delivered potentially the most drunken celebratory speech I've ever heard in my life. And it was amazing. It was hilarious. And me and my wife laughed at it this morning when we finally watched it. So, just get the stick out of your ass. Just let them, they're young kids, maybe older than kids, I guess they're all adults, but they're young enough where they're still partying, and they have every right to do that after winning the Super Bowl. It'd be different if it was like week 3 and they beat some team and then they just went out on the town and just, caused damage or reputation for the organization or whatever. But that's not what happened. They just won the Super Bowl. Their season is over. They're going to clean out their lockers here in the next couple days, and they're going to go out and they're going to have fun at a parade, and then at the rally. And then last night, Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes went to the what's his name? Why did I just forget his name? They went to a concert, and they were drunk there too. So it's like, I would expect them to be drunk for the next week. Responsibly drunk, of course. Don't hurt yourselves, but you'll come out of it. You'll be fine, and you can start training for the next year. But take some time to actually celebrate it. A lot of us, we have victories that are much smaller than that. Our victories are a lot more incremental, and they're not as massive, but they are victories, and a lot of us will use those victories as reason to go out and celebrate ourselves. And we might end up in worse shape than they are, so don't throw stones in the glass house, right? You're gonna break some glass, and I don't know. I just don't judge people for something that you might do yourself if you were in the same situation. That's my big thing with it. So, but yeah, I took the day off yesterday. We were gonna go down to the parade, and then I had my alarm set early, like 5:30. I start rousing myself, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe we need to start getting clothes on, because I'm sure it's just going to be nuts. There's so many people in this city that are diehard Chiefs fans that are going to be out there to celebrate. And although I do not claim the Chiefs as my primary team, I would say they're my secondary team. If I'm a Packers fan, but if my Packers are on a bye, or if they're playing, or if the Chiefs are playing a team that, win or lose, it doesn't affect the Packers standing at all, then I'm down to celebrate them. So we were gonna go to the rally, but around 6 a.m. started looking at the news, and there were already just mobs of people down there that had been down there, starting overnight, like around 9 on Tuesday night. They started filtering in, setting up shop to get good seats or whatever, and for both the parade and the rally. So they were down there freezing their butts off, like they were getting ready to buy the new iPhone or something. Although I don't know if people do that anymore. Do people still line up for the iPhone? I actually don't know. I feel like people probably do. I haven't bought an iPhone on launch day since the iPhone 5, I think. Everything else has just been, I'll get it when I get it. Or was it the 6? It might have been the 6. Yeah, I think it was the 6 because I got one for me and my wife. So anyway, yeah, we decided not to go to the rally or the parade just because we had other things that we needed to accomplish later on in the day, and there was no guarantee that there was going to be any way for us to easily easily get away from downtown, because there are going to be so many people. Traffic is just bound to be nuts. So we decided to play it safe, just stick around the suburbs of Kansas City and go to a local bar and get a couple drinks and watch the parade and the speeches there. We didn't get through all the speeches. We got through a good amount of them, and it was pretty cool. I'll say that even a little inebriated, I thought they all did a pretty decent job at, being respectful to the organization, to the Chiefs organization, Chiefs Kingdom. But it was still funny. Even Andy Reid was sort of a little buzzed, and that the coach, it was sort of funny. But there was a guy that I saw, and you guys might have already seen it too. He was at the rally at Union Station, and he decided it was a good day to climb a tree. It was a good day to climb a tree with no ropes and in jeans and a hoodie and a hat and just regular sneakers, just not even climbing shoes, just regular old sneakers. He's obviously drunk. His ass was just hanging out of his pants, legitimately, just full, 2 ass cheeks, just right out in the open. So he's standing on this big branch. There's another branch above him that he's holding on to. And he starts to position himself, and you can sort of see the gears turning in his head, where he's thinking, oh yeah, I can do this. And you see him in the video, he starts positioning himself to jump. He's going to jump up onto that branch that's sort of above and out from him. But he's not gauging distances very well at that point. So he decides to jump ass out, right? Just flying through the air, catching all kinds of breeze, getting all kinds of pictures. His ass is going to be immortalized because it fell. His ass and his body both fell to the ground. He tried to jump up. You could see he was trying to swing a leg over in the video. He could not get his leg up high enough, and he did not have enough leaping ability to be able to make that jump. I'm sorry for the yawns. I really am. I don't like them at all, but it is what it is. So he jumped and he fell, and I don't know if he's okay. I don't know if he's severely injured. I don't know. All I know is he was drunk, and his ass was shown to the world, and he, it could be Darwin. What is it? Is a classic case of Darwin's. I don't think it's a theory, but it's, the only strong survive, right? Maybe that's the case. Maybe it's just how it's meant to be. So I was watching that. That was really funny. There was also a video online. Patrick Mahomes quarterback for the Chiefs, he was up on top of the bus during the parade, and they're throwing things off the bus, and they've got little foam footballs, or could have been a regulation ball. I actually didn't get a good look at it. Oh, man, I am yawning and stretching. So disrespectful to you guys. But Patrick Mahomes throws this football off the top of the bus towards, the side of the road. And there's this guy, and he's got like his back turned, and he thinks the ball's going to come one way, but Mahomes actually throws it behind him, so he turns around to run and get it, except directly behind him was a parking meter. So he ran directly into the parking meter, and it almost looked like a Looney Tune cartoon, where they're running really quick, and then out of nowhere a tree just pops up, and it's like both arms, both feet directly out in front of him. It's enough momentum just to hurl your legs and arms forward, but keep your body obviously in the same spot. So he was laid out like a pancake, and it was really hilarious, and I quite enjoyed it a lot. That's it. But no, I'm super excited, pumped for the Chiefs, pumped to see what happens for their organization going forward. Obviously, go Pack go. I hope my Packers are better prepared this coming season for making it there. They made it to the NFC Championship game and lost. As in typical Packers fashion, Actually, that's not true. They usually, they got a pretty good record of winning. So I'm not upset at all about their record. Because they've been pretty successful. More successful than the Chiefs have, but you want to see your team finish. So that's the hope for them for next year. But I'll still support the Chiefs, and I'll still cheer for them, and I'm excited because only good things can come out of this. Well, first of all, here in 3 years, the NFL draft is coming to town, so they're going to be beautifying the city up and fixing some roads and all that stuff. This is a really boring podcast at this point, and I'm yawning a lot, so I'm obviously tired. I wanted to get this out. I didn't want it to be another canned, replay of something we've already released. We've done that enough where it just feels sort of like you guys are getting cheated. So I don't want you to feel that way, and so here I am. 30 minutes is good for how tired I am. I feel like I could probably go on for longer. I don't have talking points written down. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Again, check out the Culture Quest podcast. And let them know what you think of the podcast. Support them. And, of course, support us. If you want to send us any emails, that would be jumbledpodcast@gmail.com or johnny.jumbled@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on all social media, that would be @jumbledpodcast. If you want to give us a 5-star rating and review over on iTunes, that would be perfectly fine. We would accept it. Those reviews haven't gone up in a while, so help us out. And head over there, and even if it's just like, hey, I like it, it doesn't have to take a whole lot of time. You can do it inside of your iPhone podcast app application. So it's really easy to do, and it would help us out a lot. So we'd appreciate it. Also, make sure to head over to patreon.com/jumbled and pay $500 and get Johnny and I an address. Also, head over to audibletrial.com/jumbled. You get your free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. They've got all of the audiobooks. All of them. There's not a single audiobook that you can find elsewhere that is worth its salt. So, I hope you guys will take some time to check them out. And I think that's going to do it, guys, for this week. But we would appreciate if you guys would come back next week for another episode of Jumbled, your favorite podcast about nothing.